to learn about two things. Number one, your child's PSAT test results and what they really mean and what you can do with them. And then I'm sure you're curious about, okay, after that, so what? What does it really mean in the big picture? So my job really tonight is to more kind of coordinate, bring in the guest speaker who talks about PSAT results because he's more of the expert. So he'll be going through all those nuances with you. But I do want to make sure I take a little time to tell you about our SAT prep and our AP programs. So pardon me while I just change the PowerPoint. And I'll use the microphone. All right, so I'll let you guys know when I first became academic dean, I had a vague memory that back in the early 2000s, we used to have an SAT prep program here on our campus. It was funded by a grant from the state of California, and it made it so that SAT prep was very, very affordable for families, like $50 for the Princeton Review, which typically costs $400. And back in that time period, we had between 80 and 100 juniors every year go through the Princeton Review because it was affordable. And knowing that we are a rural area, we think it's important to offer it. So 2.5 years ago when I first had this responsibility, I said, well, we're going to try to start up a class. And we could not offer the class for anything less than the $400. And we had 2 people sign up, which is totally understandable. I myself could not afford the $400. So I hope that's something that you all can respect. So that being in mind last year, we decided, well, is there anything we could do with Princeton Review to make it accessible for our own students to have access to their high-quality program without the big ticket price? And you should know I investigated other options other than Princeton Review, pricing anywhere, per child from, I heard as much as $800 to $1,000 from other providers. So we had a conversation with our Princeton Review representative who said, well, we do have a program where if your district pays to train your teachers, then they are licensed providers. And then they can go ahead and actually offer their own classes on campus. So we actually do that ourselves. And each of you, when you came in, you probably picked up this white handout. This particular program at the high school is optional. It's not a requirement. And I recognize fully we cannot create a schedule of offering it that perfectly works for everybody. And then I can talk about that in just a moment. But what you should know is our SAT prep program is offered by 2 of our own Ojai Unified teachers. So Phil Paddock, our English teacher, teaches the English component, and then Doug Roberts, who was a Nordhoff teacher for mathematics, for upper level math, he's down at the junior high. He also is the person who teaches the math component. So I want to encourage you to consider it as an option for your child. We keep the classes small, and we pay the teachers, and basically it's intended by our superintendent that it's a revenue neutral program, meaning we're not trying to make money or anything like that. All we're trying to do is make sure we can afford to pay for the supplies involved. So for example, the students take 3 practice tests, 1 at the beginning, 1 midway through, and 1 towards about 3/4 of the way into the class. The class butts right up into the next SAT test, which is not included in the fee, so I want to make sure you're all clear on that. It's a separate program. You have to sign up for the SAT on collegeboard.com. But anyhow, bottom line is, what's really cool about it is that our students get that opportunity to do review here on our campus. They don't have to go to Ventura. It's a little bit more affordable. And we are able to offer limited, partial scholarships. So if we do have students in that circumstance who would like some assistance, we try to make that happen. So this is the next schedule on the white paper. Primarily, this is for juniors. So if you're a sophomore and you're here, I would urge you to wait because ideally we want you to have as much math under your belt as possible before you go through the training. At the same time, I'm told you get to learn all the tricks of the trade about how to be a wise test taker. And certainly even though I'm testing coordinator, I'm not a big lover of saying, oh, let's get ready for a test. I think really what it comes right down to is applying yourself in class and learning as much as you can. But there are some really tested elements that would just be wise, just wise things to know that would be valuable about this class. So it's outside of the school day. The next session starts in January, and we only take up to 12 students. I can tell you we have 2 who've already signed up, and another 9 contracts that are out where students are saying, gosh, I'm interested, but they haven't committed. So whoever commits first and pays the fee will go ahead and get that spot. If we end up with more than 12 who want to take the class, then we go ahead and look at offering another session in the spring for the May administration of the SAT. So anyhow, I wanted to encourage you to consider that as an option. The other thing I want to encourage you to be aware of is tonight when your child looks at their PSAT results, in fact I'll show this, I'm going to go a few slides ahead. So basically on your PSAT results, the very bottom, there's something called AP potential, advanced placement potential. And there's just a little note to your child at the bottom about, hey, log into College Board's website to find out about which course, based on your PSAT results, which course you would be successful in for advanced placement. And our AP program, we have a policy of open enrollment, meaning there's no lottery system or anything like that, unless, of course, we have a class that's oversubscribed, and we try very hard to ensure that that doesn't happen. Most of our AP classes range in size anywhere from 18 to 28 students, so the class sizes tend to be pretty reasonable. But really what's great about AP, and I'll talk with you now about that, I'll go back in my slides here, is that it's a college level class with high school support. I taught advanced placement psychology for 7 years. Super fun. It's the exact equivalent of Psych 1 at a community college or at a university. Exact same curriculum, except it's spread over a period of time. And the idea is that students get that rigor in a college environment. So we were reading the actual same textbook that was being used in a college class, but we were doing it with high school time and high school ability to have rapport and that type of thing. So I really encourage students to think about it, not even just for the next reason. The next reason really appeals to parents, and I know I have a high school freshman and I'm already like, wow, she took some AP classes, that could help us out, you know? But basically, high school students earn college credit depending on the outcome of their scores. So most colleges accept a score of 4 or 5 out of a total of 5 points possible on the AP test. Some colleges will actually give college credit for a 3. But regardless of the outcome, all the research shows that students who do not pass the test, so a student who gets a 2 or a 1, they actually do better in college than students who never took an AP class. So we really want to encourage students to try something like that. We do have a policy where students in the spring, when they go to registration with their counselors, have the opportunity to go ahead and talk about AP classes. And one of the things I encourage students to do is to think about ways to learn more about AP classes. Make sure you understand what you're getting into, because it is more work, there's no doubt about it. But it's also more rigorous, and most students really, really like it. Lots of opportunity for intellectual discussion, just a different level of what we get to do. So every teacher in January and February has specific meetings where they offer information for students in advance so students can learn about those programs. I highly recommend that your student listens for those announcements in the bulletin, and basically by the end of February they should have already evaluated what's out there. I'll also mention to you there are some other ways to become aware about our AP program. If you go to our website, we've set up an advanced placement page, and various things arrive to me from different teachers to post on there. But that's information for you about the course syllabus, how much work is involved. And I think that's really healthy, because as a parent myself, before my kid steps into that room, I kind of want to know what their life is going to be like, how much work's involved, how much reading, what are we really talking about in terms of the commitment. Moving right along, another thing that you can do is you can also go to student.collegeboard.org to check out information about the AP program offerings. Here at our campus, I believe we offer either 9 or 10 AP courses, and I always tell students, pick the ones you love, meaning pick the one that you know you're going to enjoy reading about even when you're tired. Even when you're all done with everything else and you don't want to do it, you love it enough that you're going to be willing to do the work. So I encourage you, if you're a student who takes multiple APs, because we do have some students like that as well, just consider that when you make those decisions. We want students to have a balanced load. These are our different courses that we offer in case you didn't get to see it. All right, I want to go ahead and also mention one last thing. That beautiful green bulletin This gives you a nice overview about the entire AP program, so if you prefer to look at this, this is also a really good resource for you. All right, I want to go ahead and introduce our guest speaker tonight. His name is Cicero Salmon. He is from the Princeton Review. If you would give him a warm welcome, that would be great. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. So we'll get this going. Obviously, thank you guys for coming out tonight. It's kind of chilly out, so I appreciate it. And since you're all here, so you're all pretty dedicated in going to college or the aspect of it. So I don't have to worry about the spiel about how important college is, at least a little bit. A few of you, as parents, really want to get an understanding of what's going on in this college experience, because things have changed from when you went to college to your kids now. It's a whole different world, and kid-wise, you're in for something new because you've never been there. So right now, a lot of you guys are like, you know, I have a friend that went to college, or some kids that were here went to school. I don't know, it sounds cool, I see it on TV, I don't know what's going on with college. It's a thing that seems like it should be awesome. My experience, I went to Lehigh. I'm from New York originally, and then I moved out here. I worked for Princeton Review as a tutor, so I worked with kids all the way through that process. While in college, I was a TA, so I worked with freshmen. So even after this, if you have questions about it, I'm the biggest advocate of going to school. All right, so we'll kind of start it. It's PSAT night, so you want to get an understanding of what the PSATs are and what was the point and why you did it. Who we are, most people know about Princeton Review. We're a test prep company, that's our main focus, but we really changed the college readiness. So we do everything from SAT to ACT prep. We also handle AP tutoring, private tutoring as well, and academic tutoring also. But our bread and butter, the reason we are as good as we are, and we are international, we're in almost every country on the test prep, is because of what we've done with ACT and SAT. So, overview about PSAT scores, what these scores mean, that's really why you're here, and then understanding from there what you're going to do next. Right? A lot of you took the PSATs, well, everyone here did, and you're wondering what was the point, why did I do it, right? Why did I spend the hours in there? What do these numbers mean on this? And then moving forward, I'll go over what the SAT and the difference between the ACT, and tell you how you figure out which one's going to be best for you, because that's going to be the most relevant. So the PSATs, you guys may have your score sheets out, so we'll go over it. A lot of the parents are going to be looking, but kids, you guys should be looking, because your parents aren't going to be the ones that are going to have to do a lot of this later on. So they're going to help you, they're going to be there, but really, at the end of the day, you're going to be the one at the school you want to be at. You don't necessarily want to go to the college that you're forced to be at, because you didn't know what was going on. So you want to be involved in this right now. So I'm a big, like I said, if you have any questions during the process, feel free to raise your hand during this. I think it's important to answer them as we go, because other people might have the same questions and may not want to ask them. So each part is devised, is split up, and at the end of the day, you actually add all three scores, and then add a 0 to the end. And what that will do is give you an idea of how you would have done in your SATs. So for instance, here you have 50 on the critical reading, 52 on the mathematics, 44 on the writing skills. Your total is 146. Add a 0 to it, and that would be an idea of how you would have done on your SATs. Now just remember, okay, most of your sophomores, right? Sophomores, how many people are sophomores in here? Raise your hand. Juniors? Okay, so as a junior, don't be worried about what your score is on the PSATs. Think of it as this. It was a great way to see how the test is going to be. So now you're prepared for sitting there for a long time and taking a test, and also getting a chance to understand where you need to work on. All right, so don't think, oh, well, it's not what I wanted. This isn't the SATs. And I'll go into the fact that this doesn't go to colleges, so you don't have to worry. They're not going to see how well you did on this. All right, it's just a preparation to get you prepared. It's like practice. So the scale as a whole is based on 80 points. So it's 80, 80, and 80, which is very similar to the total you would receive on your SATs. The highest score you can receive on your SATs is 2,400. So hence 80 plus 80 plus 80. 240, you add the 0, 2,400. We're all on the same page, right? All right. You know, it'd be math. They're doing math. So we went over the score range. So each one, and we'll go in particular to, this is very specific to the SATs. It's not as relevant to the ACTs, and that's what we'll go into later on how they differ and which one you may want to take. At this point, any questions in regards to how the numbers are scored? Pretty basic, right? Pretty simple? So this next page, review your answers. This is great because on the real SATs, you don't get a chance to have the test and see where you went wrong. So when you take the SATs, you actually take the test, you never know what happened. You may take it again, you don't know what you should work on, so you're not able to learn from your mistakes. Here, you actually have it in front of you, so you can look at what things and whether there were trends that you kept making mistakes at. And that's really a benefit of the PSAT. Like I said, you don't get that opportunity with the SAT. You take it, it's gone, I tell you what your score is, and good luck to you. So it'll go over everything from the correct answer, what it was, the answer choice you filled in, and the difficulty rating. Now when you take the SATs, and we'll go into that in another slide, you'll understand why there's a difficulty rating and how to adjust to that, or be prepared for it. So you have your total score and the selection index. That's the number you saw before. At the 0, same idea. And then your percentile, which is where you stand nationally. Don't let this burst your bubble. Like I said, it's your PSATs. It's just a practice for you to get ready and prepared. Okay? Think of it as having a foundation of saying, this is where I need to work out from. This is where I can go. There's no detriment on how you did on the PSAT. Like I said, it does not go out to the colleges. This is for your own personal benefit. All right? So don't get your head down. Think of it as something that it's like a little pre-test, pre-game. Like I said, does not go out to colleges. Does admissions see it? No. But there is a benefit to it. There is a National Merit Scholarship that is attached to the PSAT. So this is an award that is presented to, it's about the top 6%, 2.6, excuse me, receive a letter of commendation, and 1.2 will reach the semifinals, and 0.6% of the test takers receive a monetary award. It's not just that easy either. That wasn't easy either to be top 2.6 in the nation on the PSATs. Even the 0.6% that win it, they still have to fill out a packet, write an essay. There's a lot that goes into it. So, but schools do see if you are recommended or do receive a commendation. So it does play a little part if you happen to be a merit scholar, but it's so few in the nation, it doesn't change if you're not a merit scholar. Don't feel like if you didn't get a commendation about it, it's going to change how your admissions process is perceived. You all right? Any questions so far? We're doing good? Kids, you guys blaze over. I know you guys at school today. Parents at work. Should put some cold water. It's cold outside. It's chilly. What does all this mean? Home Alone? You kids have no idea what that is, or you're too young for that. Who is that guy? Does that still come on TV? In this house? I haven't seen it. Like I said, it's a great tool for preparation. But like him, you get worried, no need to get worried. We can move forward and make the best out of it. So let's look at the whole college dream. We're all here because we all want to go to secondary education. We all want to go to school. So selectivity. Now a lot of times you hear about kids that didn't get into any schools or they only got into one school. There are over 1,000 schools in the United States of America. You all can go to college. Every single one of you. Every single one of you. But you all can't go to the same college. That's the thing, okay? There's just not that kind of room because colleges want to have variety. So they can't have every Nordhoff kid at the same school. And that's the reason why it becomes so tough. especially in Southern California, because everyone likes the same 4 schools. You have USC, UCLA, right? And then maybe, I don't know, there's like Pepperdine, and there might be one other, right? And everybody applies to it. And so there's so many others. I mean, you have Loyola Marymount, you have Mount St. Mary's, you have schools up north, you have schools in Nevada, you have UVA. I mean, there are a multitude of choices of schools that fit what you love to do. Each one of you is very individual in the kind of person you are, what you like to do, how you like to hang out. And USC and UCLA might be the school that does that for you. But there are a whole lot of other ones that might be even better for you. And that's what makes a big difference when you start to take your SATs and your ACTs and say, these are the schools I want. Because then your chances of going there go up. Because now you're a kid from Nordhoff that is going to an amazing school in the Northeast or, you know, in Texas, and they don't have anyone from here. And it's the exact same kind of environment that you love. And it's easy for them now. You did great on your SATs, you did great in school. Now it's an easy win for you to get in. You guys, are we on the same page on that? And that's the selectivity. There's a lot of people vying for the same schools, especially in Southern California. So it's very selective. And there's happy faces and there's not so happy faces. But remember, if you do want to go to these schools, more power to you. You want to apply. But I'm going to let you know what you have to do to make yourself stand out for these. Okay? So you can still go wherever you want, but it's going to be harder in certain situations, and that's all I'm trying to say. So where might your scores take you? Now, PSATs, these are what it would be. You add the 0 to the end. These are the scores regarding SAT and what some of those schools are accepting. These are an average, a median, right? That's just basic scores. Now, you see faces getting sad, there's a lot of droopy faces. No need to worry, people. It's okay. It's all right. There's a lot more that goes into the college acceptance than just scores. Your GPA, extracurricular activities, college essay, these are all things that make a difference. But quick note, the larger the school, the more they focus on just the numbers. Anybody know why or can guess why? What's that?
Simply the numbers, logistics.
Yeah, they don't have time. I mean, a school that has, like Ohio State, has 80,000 kids, you don't have time to look at every, how special this kid is, who they are, what the parents do, what they did on the weekend. It's just numbers. When they start to get that big, it's just numbers. Right? But, good thing, like Ohio State, most of their kids are in-state. So if you like a big school like that, and you're from Nordhoff, your numbers may not necessarily fit what they take, but they don't have a lot of people from California. So that's a benefit. So now, that's something that they look at. Because now when you look at their books, they say we have kids from every state, we're a well-rounded institution. These are all little things that go into play when you're looking at where you want to go to school or what's going to be the best opportunity for you. And just as a note, the ACT score is just the equivalent of what they would be essentially on the SAT. And we'll go into the ACT a little bit more. Here it is. This is it. SAT versus ACT. This is like the most unknown thing that people, because on the West Coast, most people in the SAT promotes itself very much. So the ACT is more of a Midwest test. Just so everyone knows, the SAT is a for-profit organization, so they promote, they market, they make money off of it. ACT is a nonprofit, so now most nonprofits don't have as much money, so that competition-wise, they're able to promote more. SAT shows off more people think it's more relevant. That is not the case, okay? You can take either one. About 95% of schools take both, so you have no worries. ACT is just as relevant. But we'll go into what the pros and cons are of each test and figuring out which one's going to be best for you. So length of the test, look at it, looks right there. That's pretty daunting in itself. sitting anywhere for 4 hours is pretty daunting. It's just, it's a game of attrition, okay? These tests are about mental focus for a long period of time. You're not gonna take many long tests in your life. So it's really about how you handle these tests. So getting used to sitting somewhere, even whether it be if you're not into reading, but reading for a long period of time, getting yourself focused and getting through something for long periods really does help a lot in taking these tests. Okay? Other than if you're going to be a stockbroker or a lawyer, you're not usually going to sit anywhere for 4 hours. Or if your parents take you on a really long road trip, which is usually extremely boring. You can do that multiple times and figure that out, and that's how it feels. You say, that wasn't as funny as I hoped. All right, so number of selections. The difference between the two. PSAT has 5, SAT and ACT are a little different. Now, don't let the science portion scare you. On the SATs, you have math, reading, and writing. Seems pretty simple. ACT, you have English, math, reading, and science. Now, the science, if you haven't taken science, don't let that deter you. Okay, the science portion is more like a math portion because they give you all the formulas. Okay, so don't think, oh, well, it's science, I haven't taken science, or I'm not prepared for it. It's just a math with science questions. So they'll ask you something that relates to the rotation of the Earth, right? But they'll ask you a question about how long does it take to go around if the rotation were a circle. And this is the radius of that circle. Now it becomes a math question. It's just radius, and you figure out the circumference. You know what I mean? You all got it? I threw too much at you? All right, so it's just a math question. So don't let it fool you. It's just things using scientific, I'd say jargon, but really scientific ideas. But they give you all the formulas, so it's all there for you. Score range 60 out of 240, as you know. The PSAT is a lot more relevant and seems a lot more like the SATs. The ACT goes out of 36. So it's numbers wise, I mean, you take the test and they give you the numbers. The national average for the SAT is about 1,500, 1,450 actually now, and 21. Yeah, that's a little accurate. Okay, the level of math. Now the SAT is going to go up to Algebra 2. All right. The ACT is going to go up to trig. Now there's not going to be a lot of trig questions, but there will be some on there. And as we go into how to handle those tests, then you can see whether that's going to really affect you taking the test or not. Because you may not know, or you may not be in trig, or you may be great at Algebra 2, and the ACT could potentially still be a better test for you. And we'll go into how that makes sense. Testing for the PSAT and the SAT test for critical thinking skills, and that's why it becomes a trickier test, because they're going to throw a lot of words at you, and you're going to have to figure out the problems in those paragraphs, in those sentences. So the problems are a lot more wordy. For the ACT, is content mastery, so it's knowing what they're giving you. The content is math, you need to know math. They're not going to throw a lot of words and have you figure out what the math problem is from a word problem. Okay, they're going to say, do you know this math? Do you know this English? Do you know grammar? We got it? We're okay? I get a yeah. All right, just have to make sure everybody's awake. All right, difficult. It's difficult because, like I said before, SAT tricks and traps, they're going to make it wordy. The ACT, it's really about time. Okay? Because the problems are harder, it's going to be tougher to answer them. And there's so many. Okay? So that's going to be how they get you. You're going to want to rush through it because you don't want to, you think, I have to finish. And that's where you start to stumble. So those are the two tricks. One confuses you within the test, and one just gets you on a time frame where it really creates an anxiety. Guessing penalty. SATs. If you guess, you lose a fourth of a point. Okay? So you do lose if you guess. On the ACT, you do not lose if you guess. So is it better to guess on the SAT? No. Is it better to guess on the ACT? Yes. I think I heard a yes. I hope I heard a yes. There's a yes. It should be for the kids. Yeah, because the parents, they're not taking it. So they can guess all day. It's not going to make a difference. So what's SAT stand for? It really doesn't stand for anything. I'm being very honest. I'm going to turn the slide. It's going to say nothing. Well, it's going to say something. It's going to say that it doesn't mean anything. So it's predictable, proper coaching. I'll go into that a little bit, but did I miss that? Oh, I thought it was a slide underneath. The SAT used to stand for Standard Aptitude Test, but they actually had to, because of lawsuits a long time ago, they had to take that away. Because it does not, just so you know, it does not test how well you will do in college. All right? It does not mean, no matter how you do in there, how well you will do in college. It doesn't test your aptitude, how much you've learned. Okay? It does not do that. It is, and I know it's a question that every parent then says, and what's the point? I didn't make it. It's just, like I said, it's just the way that the system has been since the beginning when they first started. It's a way, statistically, to find kids and find a reason to choose kids. Because other than that, there's no way for every school to be on a rated scale. Every high school in our nation isn't on a rated scale. Okay, because then a B here could be different than a B at another school. So they needed another way to decipher how they're going to choose kids. So then there was a test created, and that was the SAT and the ACT. Okay, so it tests some basic knowledge. It does test, understanding, but in school you're not going to have the same rigors of how these tests are. You're never going to take a test at 4 hours in college. You take like an hour test, maybe 2 hours. The SAT is predictable. That's why we've done so well. The Princeton Review has done an amazing job at being consistently abreast of what's going on with the changes in the SAT and how to handle it. A lot of it is are just techniques and how to approach that test, which I must say, from tutoring the test, later on, a lot of these techniques are very relevant. Like they'll help you out later on with other tests, other multiple choice tests and so on. You'll start to see that a lot of the ways things are created are very similar. And then understanding how to break tests down. So don't feel like if you take the course that Kim was talking about, or if you take one of our workshops or one of our courses, that you're just getting the knowledge for the test. If you really go to the workshops, pay attention, you'll end up noticing little differences later on in how you approach other tests also. We went over the correct thing, so I'll go really quick. Correct answer is worth 1 point. Incorrect is worth, or you lose a fourth. So out of 5, if you get 1 right, take a guess on 4, and you get them all wrong. Which hopefully that never happens, but if you get 4 out of 5, then you've literally gained no points. You've gone nowhere. So this is the difference. Right now you're all in school, you're all juniors. So you're like, this whole test and how it differs from high school. High school is designed so you can finish. They want you to get out of here. They need to make space for new kids growing up. They gotta get out. They got seats they gotta fill. Okay? So they want you to graduate. These teachers here want you to succeed and do well. They want you to come back, shake their hand, say, thanks a lot, you did a great job. That's why they do their job. Okay? So it's designed. The SAT is not designed for that. It's just designed for you to take the test. Okay? Like I said, anxiety, you rush through it, make mistakes. Answer choices, they're written to trick you. Okay? High school, they want to test and push you to do better, to understand school and the subjects that they give you, and hopefully do better in life. Hope so. And your parents are there, obviously, to make sure you go to school. And do a whole lot more. They do a whole lot more than that. But a lot of times you're young. I didn't appreciate it either. You get a job. All right. The essay, you have a 25-minute essay that you have no idea what it's going to be about. No idea. You go into the test, and you're like, oh, what is this? In school, that doesn't happen, right? You prepared all year. They tell you what the test is. You got books at home. You've looked at it. You had a couple weeks to prepare So just know that it's going to be different. Time restraints, you all know that. You already took the PSAT. Grammar. Grammar is very big. Okay? Normally it's one of a lost, I wouldn't say a lost art, because grammar isn't really an art. But we just kind of miss out on it. I mean, we get so used to how we speak normally, colloquialisms and just kind of talking and music and everything else. You forget that when you're writing, there's a different way. That the pauses in the music are really because there's a comma in that song. Really, the breaks are because there's a period. I mean, that's really what it is. Okay? But you don't think about it because we do it so naturally. So when you're writing, just remember, grammar is extremely important on SATs. Okay? Most schools it's not that they forget about it, it's just that there's so much more that they're trying to teach about content and understanding that I think the basic of grammar, which most kids and most of you guys have learned before, kind of gets thrown to the wayside. So whether it be reading more or taking more time when you're reading through the SATs, there's going to be a big emphasis on grammar and the differences that a sentence may make when you're deciphering. Math. In high school, it's a math problem, straightforward. SATs, I tell you, it's going to be wordy. They're going to try and kind of trick you with those. Uh-oh. Here it is. This is where it gets real. It's a math problem. I'll let you all read it. So this is a very simple example of a math problem that you would see on an SATs. Now, this problem could be a whole lot simpler if they just told you or made, instead of Tom, put an X or said, or gave you a number and said, can you do 5 times 2, which is twice as old as Linda, right? It could be turned into a simple math problem, but they don't do that, right? They don't. I don't know why. It's just, when would this ever come up in real life? Would your parents be like, hey, we're going to meet your cousin Joe. He's twice as old as your sister Linda. And what I mean? They're never going to not tell you something as straightforward as that, right? So there's no point in this. But it's really to get you to break down, conversation and break down these words and make a sentence. So Princeton Review helps with this by helping you break it down by, no, you guys didn't. It's a trick. But you pick an answer. This is one of our tricks. It's one of the things, I wouldn't say it's a trick, but it's one of the skills we teach. Most people love it. See, it's the middle one, so just pick it. Pick a number. So we pick 18, right? It's C. Reason is, we notice, right? It's going from highest to lowest. It's 26 to 10. So we pick a middle number. We can already eliminate. If that's right, then it's great. If it's wrong, we can either eliminate down or eliminate up. You guys understand why we can do that? Kids? You know that? You all on the same page? Parents understand. I'm just making sure the kids understand. Okay, because if this is too high, right, then we know that the rest are definitely wrong. Okay, so we pick 18. So 18, right? Linda is now 9. Bless you. Okay. Karen, 4 years older, right? So Karen's 13. And this is from just picking the number. We're just running through it. Now, we're going slow now, but on the test, this goes super fast. You literally pick a number and you're literally just following it up. Okay, so that means Brian is 39. And so next year, he's going to be twice as old, so he'll be 40 next year, and Tom will be 19, right? Because Tom will be, how old is Tom? Brian will be twice as old as Tom, and the question is now answered, that the answer is actually C. So we got lucky on that one. Oh, it's 22. Because that one cancels out. I can go backwards just so you know. Okay, so we know that this is wrong, right? So we know we got lucky because we're picking the middle one. We can now cancel the rest because we know that one was wrong. You all good on that? Did I go too fast? Or are we good? So we cancel those out, and then we try 22. So now you just try 2. Instead of trying to figure it out, you literally just pick the numbers out, We're good. 46, 22 times 3, we get 46. Right? I think we're all good. You okay? Is Thomas 22? Makes Linda 11. 4 years younger than Karen. Means Karen's 15. Karen is a third as old as Brian. 15 times 3 is 45. Will be twice as old as Tom. Will be next year. So next year, right, he'll be 46. Where's little Tom? Yeah. I know, it should be 44. It's a little faux pas on that one. I didn't make the slide, just so you know. But we see where we're going with it. I'll have that one fixed for our next one. Yeah, okay. We'll be all right. Sorry about that. We're good. Tom will be next year, right? Because Tom's going to be 23 next year. And then Brian will be twice as old. So next year they'll both be, right? 23 and 46. I think we're all good. We're going to move on from this. Questions on the SAT. So they actually get harder. So each test, as the numbers will actually go up in difficulty. So as you're taking the test, you're actually able to recognize on the SAT that question number 1 through 5 are going to be easy, 5 through 10, medium, and so on. But just so you know, that doesn't mean you have to go in order. You might personally be better at some of those harder questions, right? That just might be your thing. So just answer the ones that you feel comfortable with, and then go back to answer the ones that are tough. That'll eliminate the time constraint, getting stuck on other problems. But just know, and you'll see on your PSATs, it does go over the difficulty rating. So you'll be able to notice that maybe you got a lot of the difficult ones right, and the easy ones you might have just made mistakes on because maybe you just breezed through them because you thought they were too easy. So that's a good thing to look at on your PSATs to see where you made those mistakes at. So that's just a note. Obviously, it's harder, and there's a reason. Only 8% will get to that. Most kids don't even get to that later question because of time restraints, and so little get it right because they're flying through it, trying to answer all of them, that they start making more mistakes, and then that last one, they literally just take a guess. So oddly enough, this is incorrect. But you all know what it says. It's weird, isn't it, how your brain works? You fill in the blanks, you fix it yourself. I mean, everybody here knows what's going on this slide. The reason we bring this up is because when it comes down to the English portion, there's going to be little things where your brain's going to want to fix everything. And it's really about focusing on each sentence in particular and making those adjustments to each specific word. Because there'll be several that have a mistake where your brain will get rattled with wanting to do everything at one time, as opposed to saying, let me look at part A and let me see what's right or wrong about this, and then moving on. And this is our proof in that. So this is a quick example. Anybody have an idea of what's... This is the grammar thing I was talking about, kids. I don't need a parent answer in here. Anybody want to take a guess on this one? Anyway, don't be shy. You're gonna be shy because everybody's gonna be shy. We'll see. We'll see. Gotcha. Well, no, good point though. But it's the opposite way. So because what's happening is the were and the was. These are the two that we all need to focus on, right? Because they don't match. No matter what, it's either all going to be singular or it's all going to be plural, right? It's either all going to be ones or it's all going to be a lot. Okay, so we know that these two, this is fine, His is fine. So now we're choosing which one. And this is where it gets tricky. This is what I say when the SAT becomes tricky. It's not the golf clubs. It's a set, right? So when you hear the set, now it becomes singular because it's this bag, this group. And that's how they get you. Right? I mean, that's a tricky question. To say, instead of just saying the golf clubs, to put set in front now totally makes this sentence singular. So now it should be the set of golf clubs, which was a gift. And it doesn't even sound normal when you say it slow. Okay? But we don't always speak, we don't speak the way we write. So what ends up happening is we fly through it, we say, I don't know, this one, and next thing you know, we move on and it's wrong. But it's really about, like you said, focusing on each one and knowing your grammar. It's the notes, right? The set of golf clubs. Anyone want to take a guess on this one? I'll take a guess. I know this answer. It's going to be B. He. Okay. And it's a weird reason, okay? Because for all of us, if we were talking, we would know exactly what the sentence means. We know what he's talking about. We would be thinking that Kevin's coworker is talking about himself, right? He's saying that he wasn't paid enough. But grammatically, that he doesn't have a place. We don't know which he's talking about. Because the that is there, because if Kevin's coworker said he wasn't paid, it'd be himself. But now that it's the article that, now we don't know if he's talking about that guy in accounting that he doesn't like, that guy works at the library, that dude that doesn't get paid. We don't know who he's talking about. And that's where he becomes what's wrong. Because that he should be a defined article. It should be that guy over in accounting or that garbage man or whoever. So we all see how it gets a little tricky. I mean, this is what you guys are gonna have to deal with. 50 questions of this. It gets ugly. It's not fun. But once you take, when in the course that Kim gives here, and our workshops go over techniques to handle it. And like I said, once you go over that, it becomes relevant later. You start, going over grammar and kind of realizing it. Even afterwards, when you're done with the test, that's something that'll stay with you later also. Any questions so far? Anything? It could be a random question. Okay. How are we doing on time? Are we okay? So the critical reading portion. Okay, they're going to give you a paragraph, you're going to read it, and you're going to want to read the whole thing. They give you a whole page. You're going to sit there, and you're going to read the whole thing. And then they're going to have 5 questions that ask you about 5 parts. So do you really need to read the whole thing? This isn't something I'm telling you to do for your English class when you tell you to have a paper, and then you just answer and just read the 3rd chapter, and just talk a lot about chapter 3, because that's as far as you got, and think that that's going to get you by the paper. Okay, that's not what I'm applying here. I'm talking about the test. Okay. On the test, they're going to ask you questions and say, this part, line 4 and line 7, okay? But you've read all 50 lines that are irrelevant. You only needed to know lines 4 and line 7 and what was in those. So you see what I'm getting at? It's just knowing how to approach these things. And once again, these things become relevant later on in knowing how to approach other tests and even how to make sure you're setting things up for success. Get some good sleep before you go in there. It seems silly, but you will get tired. And mentally, I've seen a lot of kids asleep at their test. Literally just asleep. And you can't help it. You try not to. So keep yourself active. Make sure you wake up early. Get a good night's rest. Eat a little bit before. Not too much, because if you eat too much, then you get tired, and then you just put yourself back to sleep. So just eat a little bit, get yourself going. ACT. What does it stand for? ACT is literally very similar to SAT. It used to have an achievement behind it, but now it's more of just a test to see how you'll do. But it is a nonprofit, so it does assist with college, and their goal is more to, they try to be more of an achievement or an aptitude. They try to do that, but it's not necessarily what it ends up being. Because now they're in competition with SAT, so it kind of loses the value of it. It has, in the sense of what they're doing with it. But value-wise to colleges, the same. Colleges look at them across the board. In some cases, the ACT is better because it has an optional essay that allows you to now not take an additional SAT 2 subject test. So the ACT has an optional essay. Don't consider it optional. If your kids take it, you take it. Okay, if you're going to take the ACT, do the optional essay. It'll help you out because you won't have to take an additional subject 2 test, which a lot of UCs require anyway. So we went over the correct answer, you get a point. If you don't answer it, you don't lose a point. If you answer it incorrect, you don't lose a point. So do the ones that you can do, get them right. And if you need to guess, it's all right to guess. Okay? This test, it's all right to go through and guess. Get the ones you know right, and if you guess, you're not losing anything. Now the serious time constraints is going to be very relevant here, because it is. Because it's a harder test, they give you more questions overall, so you're going to feel bogged down. But like I said, get the answers you can get right, and if you need to guess, it's okay. Grammar, once again, very relevant. This essay is 5 minutes longer than the other essay, so you do have a little bit more time on the essay portion. Like I said, it's optional, but take it. SAT, it's not optional. So you might as well just think of them as the same. Do the essay and everything else. So, big difference, right? I showed you the math problem. That was an SAT math problem. There's a lot of words, talked about somebody's family, I don't know him. Didn't make sense to me. This is our ACT, our ACT math problem. Pretty straightforward. The circle is inscribed in a square. The square measures 10 feet on the side, which of the following expressions gives the area of the shaded region in square feet. Now, just so you know, on the ACT, you will have the formulas at the front of the test. So right now, if you're thinking, oh, well, I didn't take that, I don't know the formula, it's all right. It'll be available to you. So don't feel worried that you're going to go into it and not know how to figure out this problem. If you can do math, you can do this, okay? Because it'll give you what the area of a square is. Anybody know how to figure out the area of a square? That's what I'm talking about. Side squared. Okay? So one side is 10, 10 squared. Anybody know how to figure out the area of a circle? Anyone? Pi radius squared. I heard him. I saw some lips move. That's what I'm talking about. They stay involved, people. Pi r squared. So that would already be at the front. You flip to the front of your book, it would say area of a square, it would say side squared, area of a circle, pi r squared. It would already be there. So you look back and then say, all right, which one of these matches? And that would be B. You see how simple? It's a little different. You saw that question was just asking you, it gave you a picture, showed you what you needed to do, and you did it. Wasn't a lot of tricks to it. But it's a geometry question, it's a little bit tougher. So reading problem. Guess I'll read it out real quick. Unlike the Earth, Venus harbors little, if any, molecular oxygen in its lower atmosphere. The abundant oxygen in the Earth's atmosphere is a byproduct of photosynthesis by plants. If not for the activity of living things, Earth's atmosphere also would be oxygen poor. Now when you read it with that kind of excitement in your voice. It'll help. I won't be there to read it for you, so I can't do that. But, so it says, as used in line 56, so, good note, like I talked about before. 56 to 60, you just read all that. They just asked about line 56, right? As used in line 56, the word harbors most nearly means. So you could have literally just read the first sentence. Instead of me wasting time after the abundant, I didn't even need to read that. I just needed to read, hey, they want to know line 56. Unlike the Earth, Venus harbors little, if any, molecular oxygen in its lower atmosphere. That's all you needed to read to answer that question. That just saved me a couple seconds. That might help you later on when I have a harder question. You got me? You see what I'm saying? That's how they get you. You waste time on things that are very superfluous. Next thing you know, you're at the end of the test answering questions you don't know why. You're sweating, you're hot, you're sleepy, and you're getting a lot of things wrong. So harbor, anybody? We got this one. You all know. It's gonna be holds. Holds is the answer. Which test should I take? That's a big one. We do provide, and I don't know if they have it here, if Kim does it here as well. If not, we could probably host it here. It's a PRA. It's free through us, so we'll talk to Kim about it. That's a test that we provide. It is 4 hours, so it's good practice on time-wise. But Princeton Review, it's very specific to Princeton Review, and it has some SAT questions and ACT questions. And after taking the test and you score it, we let you know which one you're stronger at. So you're able to get an idea of which one you may possibly or more than likely do better at. So, like I said, most students are naturally better at one or the other. Some kids are very straightforward, some kids like to think and figure out problems. Only you, I'm talking to you kids only you know what you're good at. Okay? You do, and if you take a step back and go home and think about what classes you do better at or which tests in those classes you've done better at, you genuinely know whether you're good at straightforward things or if you like the English portion and figuring things out, or if you're really big at, hey, I just like a good math problem. Okay? That's something that your parents can't help you with, something teachers can't help you with. It's something that you've learned and you really do know when you know yourself and how well you do. Now you can take both if you want. Doesn't hurt. You can choose to send a score or not. It's your option. This is just our prep courses. You have the courses with Kim, which you guys should fill up soon. I know she said that there's space. So make sure you use it. You have opportunities at school that most schools don't have. Okay, so you might as well take advantage of it while it's here. All right, and it's definitely not as expensive as ours, but ours obviously are on our campus, and we do other things. So there's a little difference in how it works. But I tell you this: if you have the opportunity to use it, use it. Okay, we do have online. If you as a child are better at things online or can learn, self-learn. Some kids are good at it. We can provide that also. Okay, we have private tutoring. If you don't like the class and you like the one-on-one, we do have that as well. Our small group is probably a little bit more like what Kim's providing, so I would suggest if that's something that you prefer, do that with the school because you have it available to you here. Okay, so we work in conjunction with the school. So, if the school's providing something that we have, we'll push you to the school because that's why you have it. That's why the teachers have been taught. They've been taught by us to provide that service. If there's anything different that differs outside, if your kids need something specific, special time or like something a little more, relevant to how they learn, obviously we're here to help. We can figure out something that works. Any questions at this point? Anything? Nothing? We good? You guys are trying to get out of here. Is there a show on? All the shows are over. We've all had their finales. And that's it. That's our time. And if, like I said, if you have any questions, there'll be some information in the back. There's some books on green colleges. There's a lot of papers back there. Feel free to grab it. If you have questions, feel free to ask me, or Kim has my contact information as well. Thank you all for coming.
I want to make sure you know that we filmed tonight's presentation because perhaps you're here but your child isn't. And my goal will be by the time we come back from break, I will send out one of those mass communications saying, here's a link on YouTube where you can go back and watch this so you can have them watch it and practice and that type of thing. I think it's real healthy. Those classes as well, because sometimes we have student athletes who really want to do the SAT prep class, but then they're anxious I have a game, on that particular Thursday or whatever it is. So we want you to know that that's something we've done to try to help out our student athletes as well. All right, thank you all so much for coming. If you have questions, let us know. If you know someone who didn't come tonight, we'll have their papers out to their child tomorrow in school. Awesome. Thank you.